In a world full of noise, two voices rise above the chaos. Ron and Brian. They speak truth. They stir thought. They accidentally help. News, nonsense, and necessary self-care. Join the cult of Ron and Brian. Because the work is so important.
All right, good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night, the last Sunday in June. It is 8 o'clock, and it is time for the Cult of Ron and Brian. I believe, if I am not mistaken, episode 360. We are kicking off right here, right now, Brian.
Listen, we've done a full 360, pardon the pun, Ron, 1 degree for every angle of a circle. We've done an episode. We have covered all different aspects. And the truth be told, we're not stopping. You know, people think that to do full circle, you've completed at 360. We're going to do 361, 362, and so on and so on. We cannot be stopped. You know why? Because as Billy said, because Billy says it. Billy says right here, the work is so important.
Folks, so if you're ready to do the work, then let's start the work this week with Drink of the Week.
Drink of the Week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the Week.
Pleasure.
Who's? Drink of the Week. Drink of the Week. Drink of the Week. Drink of the Week.
Brian, what are you drinking on this hot, humid Sunday night?
I'm going to say this, Ron. I woke up this morning expecting to drink the first sips of nectar coming out of my pinter.
Yes.
For those who are following the show just recently, Ron and I, the kind people over at Pinter, decided to bring the gift of home beer brewing to our respective households. I had a Mexican lager currently brewing in my beer fridge over here. I thought today was going to be the day that I cracked it open. Unfortunately, when I checked my phone app today, I came to the very sad realization that my beer is set to be tapped tomorrow.
Oh,
I know you said you could, you might be able to do it.
You probably could tap it. You probably could, but I understand.
I don't want to risk anything. I want this to be pure. So tomorrow night, I will be tapping it. So I sat there and I said to myself, what does one drink during this hot summer, this hot podcaster summer?
Hot podcaster summer.
And Ron, I made myself a cocktail tonight. You know what I discovered? No. Let's not. I'm not going too fancy. But do you know what I discovered this week? Or excuse me, rediscovered?
Your penis?
The joy of at this age, that's not getting much work. The joy of vodka. I haven't had vodka in years, or as far as
really?
You're
more of a dark spirits guy. You're not a clear spirits guy.
Earlier this week, I forgot what day it was. It was one of the we were going through a heat wave midweek this week. There was one day where it was about 102 degrees that we maxed out. I went down to the pool and I said, I've got to bring myself some type of beverage to keep cool. So I took a very large water bottle, filled it up with Crystal Light, and then I topped it off with a nice, healthy chunk of vodka. Went down to the pool, got a nice schwitz in before jumping in the water. Wanted to get a little layer of sweat. I'm going to tell you something. That beverage was so refreshing that once I realized I couldn't have my Mexican lager, I went, boom, we're going. This is this is pink lemonade with vodka, little ice cubes, keeping it very simple. But holy cow, this is going to be good.
All right. Well, I mean, it feels like you've already spoiled it because you've mentioned that you drank it earlier and it was good. Is it still hitting you the right way?
Oh, this is delish. Oh, this is delish. I may need another one, but hardly. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to drink too much vodka on a school night.
That's true.
Dangerous.
It's but you've done it before. It's not like this is your first rodeo.
Come on, don't blow up my spot.
Bring it down.
Ron, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
What are you drinking? What are you drinking?
So as you mentioned, Brian, it is currently Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
So we need our crushable beers. We're going up to Cooperstown, New York, not only the home of the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, but also the home of Ommegang Brewing. This is their Melon Falls Watermelon Kolsch. Cascade down Melon Falls with this easy drinking watermelon Kolsch, a refreshing beer layered with multiple additions of juicy watermelon puree throughout the brewing process, creating the perfect infusion of flavor and aroma. Crisp, fruity, and the embodiment of fresh picked watermelon. We recommend pairing this beer with outdoor adventures and friends. Well, I'm pairing it with my friend tonight. 6% ABV, a little higher than we would normally get from a crushable. But look at that. Nice, clear.
That's beautiful.
Great smell to it.
I will say that is my favorite brewery in all of America. Talk to me. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Love it.
It's all Belgium style beers. All Belgium style. Walk me
delicious.
through it.
I mean, it's their regular Kolsch, which is a great beer to begin with, but you really do get that refreshing watermelon flavor. I enjoy it. My only sad thing is I only had one can of this left in the fridge, so I will have to pick something different to drink later on.
Okay. All right. Maybe go something with a little higher ABV, something to get a little.
Listen, I'm off tomorrow. I'm on vacation this week, so you never know what might be happening later tonight. But as far as what's happening right now, it's Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
Ron, one of my trusty bits that we've done here is local Facebook posts. I'm a huge fan of your Philly adjacent Facebook groups. Love them. The level of vitriol that can be spouted out between participants over something so innocuous as garbage pickup day will literally have people immediately sliding into some of the ugliest behavior known to mankind. My beef this week is with my neighbors. We have a local Facebook group for the area where I live in. Somebody posted something today that I immediately sat there and said, this is going to be a bit. We are going to have back and forth. We're going to have some ugly behavior. We're going to have people embarrassing themselves. Let me put this up on the screen. I'm going to read it quickly for those who are listening to the audio version of this. Somebody posted in my local Facebook group, anyone else feel the pool? You know, Ron, you've been to this pool. You understand, the magnificence of it. Anyone else feel the pool has been a little out of control lately? I've been seeing groups of 7 to 8 people all come in at once without checking in with the lifeguards on a few occasions now. Policies that you're supposed to show a pool pass, which gets issued every year. Each apartment gets 4. We all have a certain amount of guests that we are permitted to invite, and that seems to have turned into a free-for-all. Also, perhaps my own unpopular opinion, but some of the outfit choices are so odd for a neighborly pool with kids. I don't see any reason for why a person needs to wear a thong that barely fits in 2025. Let's not be trapped in the mid-90s MTV spring break. Elevate your style. That mixed in with weird drunken behavior really puts a trashy stain on what should be an enjoyable amenity for residents. I understand probably can't do too much about that, but I do think we should probably make sure that people are sticking to the rules of number of guests allowed and checking in to ensure they actually live here. Ron, this has got everything. This is exactly the type of behavior, because you knew it was going to go racial at some point. If this was Philly adjacent Facebook groups, this was going to go ethnic.
It was going to go off the rails
racial,
pretty quickly.
It was going to go off the rails. And you want to know something? My property gave me shit. It gave me shit, for lack of a better phrase. Some of the responses that were posted was, I've seen bigger pools at the party and truthfully don't know if it reflects one apartment or multiple. My husband and I are recluses and keep meaning to come down, but I don't care what anybody wears at the pool as long as they're comfortable. And I, and more importantly, children, don't see primary sex characteristics. It's not a great use of my energy. Somebody else saying
sex characteristics.
Primary sex characteristics. Somebody else goes, I do think badges should be enforced. I'm pretty sure there are people using old fobs and just coming down with guests. Didn't get racial. There was no back and forth of people cursing each other out. It was, this had so much potential this morning when I saw this post, and I have been let down with my neighbors. Shame on all of you.
That is, I will say, that is a bit of a bummer, and I'm sorry to hear that.
Speaking of which,
yes.
What are you sorry about this week, Ron? What's bothering you? What is your beef of the week?
My beef of the week is with CVS, Brian, I guess, and their Minute Clinic. You know, it was time for me to go get my second shingles vaccine here on the Cult of Ron and Brian. We believe the science. We believe in the vaccines. No one wants to get shingles. So I made an appointment for this Saturday at 10:20 a.m. to get my second shot. Went over there, ended up having to wait like 15, 20 minutes. So I'm like, no one is ahead of me. It's very quiet. Don't know why it took so long. So then I get in there, and for whatever reason, all of the information that I had to fill out on their website, insurance, driver's license, everything else, we then had to go through again. Fill out again, scan it, everything else. And then the doctor in there was like, oh, so this is your second shot. I'm like, yes, it is. She's like, well, where'd you get your first shot? I was like, I got it here like 3 months ago. Well, I'm not seeing it in the system. I don't know what to tell you about your system. Well, was it here or was it at the pharmacy? I showed up. One of you folks came out and gave me a shot. Well, we're on two different systems here. Well, that doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. So basically, I had to pull up the email that I had gotten back in April confirming that CVS sent me automated that, hey, thanks for coming to get your first shot. I'm like, so you're emailing me, but it's not in your system. So anyway, it was a whole hassle. Took me like an hour to get this shot. So I finally leave. What is crazy, though, is about an hour and a half later, I get a text and an email from CVS saying, oh, sorry you didn't make your appointment this morning. We went ahead and canceled that for you. So let me show you the string of emails from this Saturday. So the bottom one came at like 10 a.m. Are you ready for your Minute Clinic visit? Then I get two emails telling me I've got my new vaccination record and my visit summary for being there. And then you can see this final email like 2 hours later. We didn't see you at your visit. Really? Because I have a feeling you're still going to bill my insurance regardless.
Of course they are.
But
Minute Clinic. That wasn't that your nickname in college? Minute Clinic?
It was. Yes. I mean, I feel also there's probably a trademark there. But I do have to tell you a very enlightening, it lifted my spirit while I was waiting there. I'm going to tell you this story, and I wish I had videotaped it because you're not going to believe it. But for HIPAA reasons, obviously, I didn't do this. I'm sitting there. I'm waiting to go in to get my shot. This woman walks up to the pharmacy counter and says, I don't have an appointment. I'd like to do a walk-in for a COVID vaccine shot. And he's like, not a problem. So he taps in his computer. He's like, all right. He's like, your last shot was in December and you got the Moderna shot. He's like, but just to let you know,
the gold standard.
We only have Pfizer available here today. And she's like, so, I mean, how is Pfizer compared to Moderna? So this man looks her dead in her eyes, dead in those optical sockets and says, oh yeah, Pfizer as good as Moderna, which we know is a lie. And she's like, so thankfully she's like, I don't know. I've had good luck with Moderna. I don't know. And he's like, well, you know, the CVS and the Target has Moderna. She's like, yeah, but I went there. They don't have walk-ins. He's like, he's like, what's it going to take to put you in this Pfizer today? She's like, you know, I'll just wait until I can get Moderna. And she picked up her bag and walked away. And I stood up and I applauded. I said, God bless you, ma'am, for holding out for the gold standard.
Yes, it's the gold standard.
100% the gold standard.
Now, I have a question.
Yes.
I know that there are some people here in the group chat when it came to other vaccines for other diseases that allegedly were real or not. But I know there were some people out there who mixed vaccines. They did start with Pfizer and then took a Moderna as a second or a following. And I think, if I remember correctly, it did make them feel somewhat more entitled, that with some of the gold standard flowing through their blood, they did feel more elite than had they just stuck with Pfizer. Do you believe that's true?
Listen, you know me, I am a fan of the Moderna. I don't know that I would go with anything else. It's like, if you like a really good cut of steak, are you going to risk it on a lesser cut of steak, Brian?
No, you absolutely would not.
Exactly. Well, let's get to our stories of the week this week, Brian. The stories that we grab, we make sure we tuck them up, kind of nestle them into our bosom, and make sure that we cover them. What is your story of the week this week, sir?
Ron, my story of the week takes us to Disneyland Paris. Listen, Ron, one thing you know about me is that I am a fan of anything Disney related, and trashing anything Disney or Disneyland related. It just gives me so much joy to just trash people who are into it. So we will go all the way out to Disneyland Paris. Ron, do you have a photo of Jackie Jahj, Jackjahj? I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. I'm assuming it's Jahj. A British man. A British man was arrested for allegedly trying to marry a 9-year-old girl at Disneyland Paris for a sick social media stunt. Is a known pedophile wanted by UK authorities. The 39-year-old man, who was slapped with a slew of charges Tuesday over what may have been a sick social media stunt, has previously been convicted of child sex offenses in the UK. Jahj is currently wanted in his country for failing to comply with the obligations of the British Sex Offenders Registry. Authorities at the park said that he had booked out a wedding at a reported cost of $150,000, but concerned Disneyland employees quickly pulled the pin when they realized that the bride was a 9-year-old Ukrainian girl. The scared and confused little girl was spotted wearing a wedding dress, 5-inch heels taped to her feet when she showed up to the park. Authorities later believed the wedding was a stunt being filmed for social media. The British groom was arrested alongside a 24-year-old Latvian woman posing as the bride's sister. Listen, I'm going to say this. As much as the New York Post is going to try and say that this is a social media stunt, I'm going to say that this behavior is not something I would put past any grown adult who is into Disneyland. It's a weird, cultish-like world. I don't know that I can support it. So therefore, I'm going to say that regardless of whether this was being done as a social media stunt or not, let's put this guy in jail for a very long time.
Sounds good. Plus, I mean, 150 grand for a Disneyland wedding, like that, I don't know, seems a bit excessive to me.
I think everything about, I mean, getting a donut or a some kind of Nutella crepe is about 20 grand at Disneyland. So when you think about it, it's not that outrageous.
It's $5 grand just for one of those Dole whips.
Just to walk in the door. Ron, what is your story of the week?
So my story, Brian, I've been on a bit of a roll. People dying over minor things, people getting shot over minor things the last few weeks. Brian, are you a fan of the pastry known as the honey bun?
The
I
pastry
think
of the honey
Tasty
bun.
Cakes makes one.
Yeah,
Little Debbie
yeah.
makes one. Well, apparently there is a gentleman down in DeKalb County, Georgia, who really loves his honey bun. That would be 29-year-old Michael Crowley. He got angry when he found out his uncle, 48-year-old Roderick Crowley, had eaten his honey bun from the refrigerator. A witness told Michael to calm down and leave the house, but he came back and allegedly shot his uncle 4 times in the chest and arms, killing him. Warrants then say Michael called 911 and told the operator that he had shot Roderick and was hiding in the woods. Police later found Michael's gun. Here is a mugshot of Mr. Crowley. Got to admit, with those eyes looking in 2 different directions, kind of surprised he was able to hit anything firing a gun.
God damn it, Ron. Why did you have to point? I was actually going to say that this looks like a headshot for a local actor who is about to read a 2-page screen monologue from the TV show Oz.
I think he's waiting he's going to do a urban version of Waiting for Godot, is what this headshot says to me.
He looks like the kind of guy who would work a fast food place and get into a fight with a customer. Video available on social media left and right.
All right. Well, he has been charged with malice murder and released on bond. So apparently you can kill a family member over a honey bun and get out on bail.
Really?
Apparently.
He does have the eyes going in 2 different directions.
That was the one thing. Again, you pick up subtle things in these mug shots. Again, not sure how he was able to fire a bullet straight. Brian, we're going to go. We talked about Disneyland Paris. Let's go back over to France, where almost 150 concert goers, most of them teenage girls, were jabbed with syringes in a bizarre attack at a nationwide music festival in France on Saturday, and a dozen suspects have been nabbed in connection with the disturbing attacks. Local and national law enforcement are investigating the wave of incidents in which suspects wielding syringes with unknown contents jabbed 145 victims at the popular Fête de la Musique.
Ooh, loved it
or
there.
World Music Day. So,
Ron, yes.
No, I was gonna ask you your thoughts on this, because you are a man. You go to a lot of music shows. You go to festivals. You go to clubs. You go to concerts.
Sure.
You go to speakeasies. You go to open mic nights.
I go to poetry slam nights.
You go to poetry slam nights. How do you feel about this? Do you feel safe being a white male out on the streets listening to music?
First off, you would never catch me dead at any kind of all-day festival. First off, it's just too many people there. I don't want to be anywhere that, like, I feel like an arena is the largest size concert that I will attend.
Okay.
I struggle to think that a football stadium concert is going to get my attention. Oddly, I was thinking about the Billy Joel, Rod Stewart shows that were going to take place this summer before Billy Joel had the liquid on the brain. But I'm more of a club guy. Give me something with 800 to 1200 capacity, and I'm there. And honestly, if you're going to a concert nowadays, you've got to be aware that ISIS could want to storm the doors and start shooting up people like they did in France. There's something about the French people that I cannot respect. Therefore, what I liked about the story is that it did make reference that the authorities were treating this as if it was coordinated attacks, even though they arrested 12 different people walking around for stabbing people with syringes. So right off the bat, I mean, what are the odds that 12 different people brought syringes to go around stabbing people?
Right. You would think there's probably some connection, at least between 10 or 11 of them. Maybe some random offshoot, someone. It's just a crazy world, Brian. This is why I don't leave the house.
Why would you? You have created such an enclave for your sanity within the Philly adjacent. I want to say Commonwealth. The state is a Commonwealth. You have just found
it is.
There's so much hate that is in your surroundings that for you to have created such a comfy little spot that you never have to leave except to go out for hoagies, water ice, and cheesesteaks. I think it is why you keep walking around with a smile on your face.
You gotta smile when the world burns around you, Brian.
Of course.
Let's go down to Florida, Brian. This is Representative Kat Cammack, Republican from Florida. In May 2024, she suffered a near fatal ectopic pregnancy, but was initially denied care by doctors afraid of Florida's newly implemented 6-week abortion ban. However, in an interview with the Wall Street Journal this week, instead of criticizing the ban for putting her life at risk, Cammack pointed fingers at abortion advocates. She said, quote, "It was absolute fear-mongering at its worst." So again, she's not blaming the ban. She's blaming, activists for pointing out the ban is dangerous, even though she very well could have died from this ectopic pregnancy.
That doesn't even make sense. Do you have an understanding of how what is the spin of this? So how is this the Democrats' fault?
I'm not sure. She was 5 weeks pregnant when she went to a Florida hospital. She had an embryo implanted.
Well, we know that. I mean, there's no way that this was a natural pregnancy. I mean, just from the photo.
But a doctor said, if this ectopic pregnancy ruptures, it'll kill you. Fetus had no heartbeat at that time. But since the Florida 6-week ban had just gone into effect, doctors were nervous about giving her the shot of methotrexate needed to end the pregnancy. But apparently, the issue is because the left brought up all the concerns about how the ban could be confusing to doctors. When it actually was confusing to doctors, it was because Democrats willed that into being, I guess.
So it's not the actual ban. It's the fact that because there was she's blaming misinformation being spread by the Democrats, that therefore she didn't get the care, as opposed to had there never been a ban in place and she would have been able to get the care. I understand it now. The political spin that goes on is just mind-boggling to me. Just utterly mind-boggling.
Speaking of Florida, everyone's favorite former Florida congressperson, Matt Gaetz, was in the news. Actually, it was in TikTok a lot. That's where I saw this.
Yeah.
Where someone was recording his screen of his phone where he was texting his mom for advice as to how to deal with President Trump in a wide-ranging conversation in which he also bragged about his real estate assets and having $500,000 in the bank.
Right. First off, just the level of disrespect. Can you imagine getting on a plane? And obviously, you're a public figure. You and I have gotten into some heated arguments over the years about the level of privacy that the public either affords or does not afford people in the public eye. I have always sat there and made the argument of once you become a celebrity, once you go seeking out that level of fame, you have sacrificed whatever expectation of privacy. Ron, I know for a fact you have always said that everybody should be treated equal regardless of what job it is that they do. Personally, I believe that has a lot more to do with your local town ruling out your permit request to put up 15-foot high hedges around your property so that your neighbors. You do not want your neighbors to be able to look in as you lay on your deck. However, I'm going to say I'm a huge fan of the fact that there was, and I saw the TikTok when it came out, that there was this young lady who's on a plane, happens to be diagonally behind Matthew Gaetz, and just sees him texting away, grabs her phone, and immediately just starts screen capturing his phone, zooms in. And no offense to this guy, but he's using like a 20 size font on his phone.
Why is he so zoomed in? Like, isn't he like 20 years younger than us? And why is his text so big on his phone?
It's gigantic. So and you would think that because you are in the public eye, you would get some type of privacy screen. I know people that take the subway here in New York, they get a privacy screen cover.
Yep.
So that, on the side. If you're looking at it from the side, you see nothing. But the joy I have of him sitting there trying to defend himself to his mother, like this guy is a former House of Representative. He wasn't in the Senate, correct? He was
a representative.
Potential Secretary of State, correct?
Right.
Or was he an Attorney General?
Attorney General. You're right. He was going to be the top cop, and then everybody was like, "No, he fucks kids. You can't." Yeah. Allegedly,
correct.
I just love how his mom was like, "Don't be criticizing the president. Like, your days in Congress are over. Let's not mess up the media gig." So mommy's like, "You need to keep paying my bills, so don't lose your own OANN show."
Sure, good advice. Is he the last time I know you're a big fan of OANN? Is he still getting all that plastic surgery? Remember when he stood up at the Republican National Convention in 24? He suddenly looked like he had been robotically replaced by a Ken doll.
I'm thinking that was Botox, because he's actually gotten some definition back to his forehead and his face again. So he does not look as freakish as he did at the RNC.
Got it. Good for him. He can still go fuck himself. Don't get me wrong.
Of course, without a doubt.
But I'm just glad he's not in Congress anymore. All right. But Jesus, fuck him.
Brian, I have to, I've been watching a lot of TikToks. A lot of, for whatever reason, World Series home runs TikToks have been showing up in my feed. So I wanted, if you can indulge me, Brian, I pulled the top 16 clutch World Series home runs, and I kind of wanted to get your take. We're going to do this in kind of an elimination format. I want to kind of narrow it down to what we feel is the best clutch home run in World Series history.
Okay.
Are you ready for this, Brian?
Sure.
All right. Our first
matchup. Right now, hold up. Right now I can think of two.
All right. Give me, I'll tell you if they're on the list.
The two I can think of is Joe Carter's home run against the Phillies. That I believe was a game. I think that was a Game 7 game winner. And I also would say Kirk Gibson's home run. I believe that was the Dodgers, and I couldn't even tell you who were they playing that year.
It was the Dodgers and the A's were supposed to just run away with that. Yeah. Both those are out. But let's run through these 16. The first two we're going to go head to head. We've got Bill Mazeroski in the 1960s, Game 7, Pirates versus Yankees, walk-off home run to win Game 7 and the series. The only Game 7 walk-off home run ever. That is going up against Max Muncy in 2018, Game 3, Dodgers versus Red Sox. 18th inning walk-off home run in the longest World Series game ever, 7 hours and 20 minutes. Out of those two home runs, Brian, which one should move on?
No brainer, Mazeroski. You said Game 7. Game 7 will always trump a Game 3 home run.
That was our 1 seed versus our 16 seed. So these first few should be easy. You mentioned it, Brian. Joe Carter, 1993. It was actually Game 6, Blue Jays versus Phillies, but it was a 3-run walk-off home run against the Wild Thing, Mitch Williams, to win the series for the Blue Jays. That is going up against Ray Knight in the 1986 World Series, Game 7, Mets versus Red Sox. He hit the go-ahead home run in the deciding game after the Bill Buckner drama in Game 6. So Joe Carter versus Ray Knight.
Joe Carter, any kind of walk off to win the series trumps a home run in Game 7.
All right. Some of these we may be a little bit biased on, but I'm going to read them off anyway.
Sure.
Derek Jeter, 2001, Game 4, Yankees versus Diamondbacks. First ever November home run in Major League Baseball, a walk-off in extras to even the series versus Arizona. That one is going up against Steve Pearce in 2018. Game 5, Red Sox versus Dodgers, homering in Game 5 for a series win, and he also won the series MVP.
I'm going to go Steven Pearce.
All right.
If the Yankees didn't win the World Series in 2001,
We did not.
so how can that didn't? So if it does not have an effect on the outcome of the series, that cannot rank high.
All right.
As a leading home run.
This one, Brian. This one, again, mix these up at random. I think this one you're going to have trouble with. Jim Leyritz, 1996, Game 4, Yankees versus Braves, tied the game in the 8th with a 3-run home run, turned the tide of the series, and kickstarted the Yankees dynasty in 1996. That is going up against Mickey Mantle, 1964, Game 3, Yankees versus Cardinals, walk-off home run, his 16th World Series home run, most all time.
See, I don't have really a real reference point for Mantle's home run. So I'm probably going to go Leyritz.
Yeah. I still remember the Jimmy Leyritz home run. One of the best things I've watched live ever. All right.
That was his second best hit that he ever had.
Are we going to talk about the DWI? Is that the other hit you're referring to?
I think I believe so.
Listen,
Matt, can you put up the photo of William Esquire with Jim Leyritz? We know that he was very proud to work with that man at a local bookstore at a signing. We know that William Esquire forgives all DWIs as long as you're a Yankees player.
Well, I think if you get a World Series home run, you get one DWI fatality.
Really?
It's
you
a trade-off.
Kill a guy. You can kill a guy.
You get one. Only one. You kill 2 people. You get charged for the second one.
Look at him bragging in the comments over here.
All right. Next up, David Freese in 2011, Game 6, Cardinals versus Rangers. He tied it in the 9th and then did a walk-off home run in the 11th. Forced a Game 7, which the Cardinals ended up winning the series. That goes up against Andrew Jones, also in 1996. Game 1, Braves-Yankees, hit 2 home runs at age 19, the youngest player to ever homer in the World Series.
I got to say Freeze. Because you're a young person hitting home runs does not make it any more important. And if you're going to tell me 2 home runs in a World Series game, we're talking Reggie with his 3.
Hold on, you're skipping ahead.
No, you can't compare. All right. We're going Freeze.
Next up, you mentioned Kirk Gibson. He's up next. 1988, Game 1, injured, limping. Took it to a full count. I mean, the drama in that game, and then hit a walk-off home run against one of the best closers in the game, Dennis Eckersley. Who does not remember the iconic fist pump as he rounded the bases? Going up against Hideki Matsui, 2009 Game 6, Yankees versus Phillies, hit a home run in the clinching game on top of 6 RBIs and winning series MVP.
Geez, I would love to go Matsui as a Yankees fan, but I think you got to give it to Kirk Gibson.
You got to go give it.
I mean, he could barely walk. I mean, he literally rammed those 360 feet, just pure for our 360th episode. I think he ran that pure adrenaline.
Next up, Brian, a classic Red Sox-Yankees matchup. We have Carlton Fisk, 1975, Game 6, waving his 12th inning home run fair, one of the most iconic photos and videos in baseball, going up against Scott Brocious, 1998, Game 3, Yankees versus Padres. 3-run home run off of Trevor Hoffman to take lead late. That was prior to the Yankees obviously sweeping the Padres in 4 games.
I think you got to give it to Carlton Fisk. Even as a Yankees fan, the very fact that I think every baseball fan can visualize the video of Carlton Fisk waving that ball at home plate, whereas even as a Yankees fan, I can't visualize Brocious' shot. I have no visual of it. So I think you got to go with Fisk.
All right. The last matchup in our first round here, Brian, we've got Reggie Jackson, 1977, Game 6, Yankees versus Dodgers. 3 home runs on 3 pitches in a series clinching game. He was known as Mr. October after that point, going up against Babe Ruth. 1932, Game 3, Yankees versus Cubs. This was the called shot where Babe Ruth pointed where he was going to hit his home run to. Still debated as to whether it actually happened, but forever Major League Baseball history.
I think you have to give it to Reggie. Any at bat where you have seen 2 pitches from the day from 2 different pitchers, and you took both of them out into the stands, and on your 3rd pitch of the day, you hit your 3rd home run off of a 3rd pitcher. I think that has to be a way more important home run.
All right, well, we're down to 8. We're going to cut that to 4. Brian, we now have Bill Mazeroski going up against Steve Pearce.
I think we got to go Mazeroski.
All right. Then we have Jim Leyritz going up against David Freese.
Ooh, which one was Freese again?
That's where that was Game 6, 2011, tied it in the 9th, walked it off in the 11th.
Walk off will always take it. Give me Freese.
All right. Wow. I thought Leyritz would have some legs here, but I'm impressed.
No, I love the Yankees. But I got to be impartial on this.
This one I think is going to be challenging. Kirk Gibson versus Carlton Fisk.
Carlton Fisk won the game.
So that was yes. So that was and it was an extra inning. That was a 12th inning home run, winning the game. And it was a Game 6 versus Game 1 for Kirk Gibson.
I think you got to go Fisk on this.
All right.
I think you got to go Fisk.
And I'll be interested to see what you do on this next one. Reggie Jackson versus Joe Carter. It's a tough one.
I'm going to say this, as much as I hate to do this, and please don't think this has anything to do with my love for the New York Yankees and Reggie Jackson, who has recently betrayed us by going to work for the Houston Astros. So fuck Reggie. I'm going Joe Carter. Anytime you win the World Series on a home run, that's on a walk-off. I think that gets you elevated.
Yeah. All right, coming up next, we have Bill Mazeroski against David Freese.
Mazeroski.
All right, and then we have Carlton Fisk against Joe Carter.
Joe Carter.
So now we're down to the final 2, Brian. Bill Mazeroski, walk-off home run to win Game 7 in the series. Joe Carter, walk-off 3-run home run in the 6th to win the series.
Me personally, I'm going to go Joe Carter.
No,
hold on. Let me, you know what? I feel like Mazeroski's got a harder time because there's no video of it, but I think I'm sliding towards Joe Carter simply because I visualized that home run so many times. But I think, you know what? I'm scratching that. It is Bill Mazeroski. Anytime you hit a Game 7, any Game 7 game-winning home run has to trump all others.
All right, Bill Mazeroski, there he is. I had just moved down to the Philadelphia adjacent area in '93, and I remember the collective air being sucked out of the entire city when Joe Carter hit that home run. I mean, I will say, but you knew it was possible. Like Mitch Williams was one of the most consistently inconsistent relief pitchers there was. Like when he was on, he was untouchable. But when he was not, he was god awful. And and Joe tagged him that night, took him deep.
And didn't Mitch have to move? If I'm not correct, I remember Mitch had to move because he was getting so many death threats.
Very possibly. I'm trying to think if he was still on the team after 93. I forget how long.
He may have had to leave the team.
All right. Next up, Brian, we're going into what we like to refer to as our fuck around and find out section, where an influencer passed away at the age of 31 after botched surgery, hours after partying with the doctor. Brian, this was one of your favorite stories of the week. Talk to us about what happened here.
Listen, one of the concerns that you and I have brought up multiple times over the years are social influencers and their dependency on plastic surgeries of all types to help perpetrate this image in public of having a perfect body. However, recently, a woman from Mozambique by the name of Anna Barbara Buldrini, she's 31. She travels from Mozambique with her husband to Istanbul, where she's going to undergo several cosmetic procedures. If you look at the photo of her, Ron, I assume we've got it lined up.
There we go.
So she's got a lot of tattoos, and I can't imagine there's anything on this that needs to be worked on that hasn't already been worked on.
Right.
So she had signed up to undergo a breast augmentation, liposuction, and a nose job in return for promoting Tusa Hospital in Istanbul on social media. So she's going to be getting 3 different plastic surgeries in exchange for some social media posts hyping up her doctor. So her and her husband get to Istanbul. They go out partying with the surgeon, drinking. They're drinking. They're partying up. Who knows if there were any other substances that were being ingested. The article doesn't pontificate, but you know me, I like to make some guesses. So what happens is, so as they are partying it up, the doctor announces to Ms. Buldrini that he says, hey, let's go in tomorrow and let's do this surgery. Let's move it up. Apparently, the surgery was planned for 2 days from the night that she had arrived. They were going out. Doctor was like, no, you know what? Let's do it tomorrow.
Let's do it live.
I think, fuck it, we'll do it live. And apparently she and her husband questioned the doctor saying, hold on a second, shouldn't there be at least a minimum 24-hour period where, I'm not drinking, whatnot, not partying, drinking water, hydrating. Absolutely, treat my body off. Doctor says, listen, I got some scheduling things that have popped up. We need to move it up now. So he moves it up. The next day they go in, he performs his procedures. Unfortunately, Ms. Buldrini, after going under the knife, she has, just to give you an idea of her social media clout, she had, this is all past tense, if you know what I'm getting at, people, she had 797,000 Instagram followers. Unfortunately, after she goes into the recovery room after these, her husband says that he saw the staff behaving strangely. He waited for over an hour prior to being allowed to see his wife. However, afterwards, the doctors come out to let him know that his wife had passed away. The doctor said that her heart was beating slower and slower, eventually passing away. The hospital has denied any malpractice and said its staff attempted to revive Buldrini following her surgery. Unfortunately, despite the efforts of their expert anesthesiology team, the patient could not be resuscitated. Let her life not be a waste. Learn from this. If you are going in for surgery, please take care of yourself the night before, regardless of what surgery you're having, whether it be plastic surgery so that you can have a breast augmentation, tummy tuck, liposuction, and a nose job, or you're going in for something as simple as a colonoscopy. Ron, you are a fan of those. I know you've said you've had several. Just take care, prep your body, because you can't predict what's going to happen once you go under anesthesiology.
No, you gotta be careful without a doubt.
Yes. So just take care of yourself, people. Social media clout is not everything that it has been hyped up to be.
Next up, we've got a follow-up story regarding the Palm Springs fertility clinic bombing we covered. The suspect in that bombing died in federal custody this week after jumping to his death from an upper level of the California prison where he was locked up. This is Daniel Park, age 32, found unresponsive at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles early Tuesday. Apparently, they say that he has stepped onto a table and then plunged to the ground floor of the facility. Was not clear how many floors he fell, but he was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was later pronounced dead. He had been facing conspiracy charges for allegedly shipping explosive materials to Guy Edward Bartkus, the bomber who died in the May 17th explosion at the American Reproductive Center's clinic.
Now, I have a question. Is the family suing his dermatologist?
I mean, so apparently he was handling about 270 pounds of ammonia nitrate. Feel like he may have gotten some of that on his face. Could have used some work, is what you're saying.
I'm saying that a little OxyClean, or what was the big product that was on the internet, and not the internet, but was on the there was a anti-acne cream or product that was being sold. Their infomercials were everywhere in the 90s.
Yes, I'm drawing a blank on the name.
I'm drawing a blank.
I remember it, though. A woman I was dating back then was actually using that product.
Sure. I think everybody knew somebody that was using it. I remember they started to get celebrities to be spokespersons. It was very strange, and I cannot remember what the name of the product was. But yeah, listen, this guy helped to blow up a fertility clinic. Society is not we're not suffering. I just thank him for not making us go through a trial, and that he just took care of himself.
I mean, if anything, he saved the community the money of putting him through the trial that he probably would have been found guilty on, and spent time in prison.
Sure.
Next up, Brian, United Airlines is facing a discrimination lawsuit as an Asian woman claims she was kicked off of a United flight simply because she was mistaken for another Asian passenger seated several rows away from her. This incident happened on August 29th of last year on United flight UA 1627. It was supposed to go from Las Vegas to Washington Dulles Airport. There were several realtors on board who were returning from a conference in Las Vegas. At least two of these realtors were Asian women who knew one another and worked together. However, they weren't seated together. So they were separated. Due to bad weather, the flight had to divert to Baltimore. Passengers ended up being stuck in the aircraft on the ground in Baltimore for roughly 5 hours due to the lack of available gates. Passengers got a little restless. One of the female Asian realtor's colleagues started feeling unwell and was sweating profusely and suffering pain in his chest. The passengers claimed that the flight attendant was quite dismissive about his medical condition. So one of the Asian realtors confronted the flight attendant over her rudeness and received a snarky response. Eventually, passengers were able to deplane before once again being allowed to board the aircraft again around midnight. As the second Asian realtor attempted to board, she was told that she wouldn't be allowed to fly due to accusations made by a flight attendant. Putting two and two together, she concluded that she was being denied boarding over the earlier interaction between the first Asian realtor and the flight attendant. So as a result of this, there has been a lawsuit filed, which United Airlines has not commented on. I would say though, if I'm supposed to be going to Washington Dulles and it lands in Baltimore, I'm just hopping on Amtrak at that point.
Sure.
Like I'm not dealing with. Well, I guess maybe they didn't get their luggage back would be a problem.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's just the embarrassment of the airplane staff just treating all Asian females as if they're all the same people. I think that's the part that we need to accept is just wholly unacceptable. What is this airline again? Was that Delta? Delta?
It was United Airlines.
American Airlines?
United.
Was it JetBlue, Spirit, Frontier? No, we can't insult United. That is my airline of choice. As I primarily fly out of, I fly out of, I fly out of Newark. I'm trying to accumulate as many points as I can with United right now because that Newark is their hub. So anywhere I fly, it's going to be I'll be flying United, and obviously I can't support a racist airline.
Correct.
Can't have that.
New on Netflix this past week, Brian. You watched it. I watched it. The latest in their train wreck documentary series about the infamous Carnival Cruise Line's poop cruise, going all the way back to, what was it, 2013 that was, or was it 2011?
I think it was 2011. But it was what we call the poop cruise.
Yes.
It was 2013, by the way.
So those who may not remember, it was the cruise aboard the Carnival Sunrise. It was supposed to be just a 4-day cruise, 2 days down to Mexico, 1 day on land in Cozumel, I think it was, and then 4th day back to Texas where they had departed. There apparently was an engine fire. Which in turn cut through all of the power lines on the ship, cutting all power except for emergency power. And it took them 3 days before they were able to get tugboats and bring them back to, I think, Mobile, Alabama. But in the meantime, all those toilets on a cruise ship are electric powered, so nothing could really flush. I think there was 1 or 2 working bathrooms. And as you can imagine, as will happen when you have 4,500 people on a ship, people were told to poop into red biohazard bags, and leave them in the hallways. It was, listen, I've never really been a fan of cruise ships and cruise lines. After watching this, I don't know that I would get on one.
Yeah, it's funny. I watched it with my lady, and it started off with, I want to take a cruise. But if I do a cruise, it would want to be, I would want one of those big ships like this one. Because I made the argument of if I do a cruise, I want to like a Mediterranean cruise. I want to, be surrounded by Europeans. I don't want trashy Americans. With I would say about 25 minutes, and it's a short episode. It's only a 55-minute show. 20 minutes into it, my lady was like, "Yeah, I'm not going on a cruise. I do not want to do this." The part. I mean, first off, I think we've all learned. The phrase "poop lasagna" was in reference to the people who were pooping into their toilet, covering it with toilet paper, and then coming back a day later and pooping on top of that, covering that with toilet paper. Then, somebody else would poop and cover it with. So the layered lasagna that was going on inside right off the bat, just nasty. But then also once Carnival gets their shit together, sends a couple tugboats from Alabama to start tugging the boat back to the American shore. As the boat is being tugged, it starts to list at an angle as it's being pulled in one direction. So all of the liquid that was, I just want to say, being temporarily stored in the plumbing, as the boat shifts at an angle, all that liquid comes flying out of the different toilet show. So literally, people are walking around. There's this much water, and it's This isn't Avion. This isn't Poland Spring water they're walking on. This is human sewage that they're walking through. They show people wearing flip-flops while walking through this stuff. And the worst part was, a coworker of mine pointed out, there's no running water, so they can't even wash their feet. They're telling
people pee in your shower because there's a drain in the shower. Just pee there, and then they decide on the second day, you know what? Let's just open the bar up. Let's just let everybody drink.
Why?
Oh, and so then they're like, yeah, people started peeing off the side of the boat. People were trying to poop off the side of the boat.
And then people were throwing their poop bags at each other while getting into fights.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, what
so I think the
nightmare.
bar was open for like 3 hours. They're like, oh yeah, we made a bad call here. But what I found was crazy because they talked to a maritime attorney, which I did not realize maritime attorneys were a thing in the 21st century.
Sure.
But they talked to this guy, and it said in the language on the Carnival Cruise Line ticket that just because you were going on this cruise, there was no guarantee that you'd be safe, that you provided food, that you provided shelter. Like it literally was like, yeah, we kind of know our boats are crap, so we're going to put this verbiage in the tickets to make sure that if something goes wrong, you can't sue us.
Sure. I mean, it is your stereotypical legal cop out in there, which is basically just, you're getting on this boat at your own risk. We are not guaranteeing you anything, not even a safe boat. And we've got your money, and you're not going to get anything back. Now, here's the thing, Ron. These people, the people that were on the boat, they were given a $500 voucher for a future cruise. They were reimbursed their money, and I thought they were also given another future cruise to go on.
Yeah, I think you're correct. They refunded him the cruise. They gave him a free cruise, and then they also gave him like a $500 voucher. So for $4,500 for 4,500 people, they had to take, and then they spent what, $115 million cleaning the cruise ship after it got back.
Slapped on a new name and sent it right back out into the water. This is the part that I thought was pretty hard to wrap my brain around. There's poop water and urine water all over this boat, sloshing around everywhere. In one of the last scenes, as the boat has landed in Mobile, Alabama, and the passengers are disembarking, you see people rolling their suitcases off. And I could not help to think, what personal belongings, you've been through this ordeal, a 4-day cruise.
You're just going to burn that luggage.
Not even taking it. Fuck it. It's now Carnival's materials. They get to keep this. They can burn it if they want. This is biohazard because I consider. I'm not taking. There's no shorts. There's not a shirt that I would want to sit there and say, oh no, this is still good. It's like because these people weren't bringing clothes for 8 days. So what on earth could these people have wanted to keep?
And then they put them on buses to take them from Mobile, Alabama, back to Texas. Like, how long of a bus ride was that? Like, hey, you've been stuck on a ship for 3 or 4 days. Now we're gonna put you on a bus, and you're gonna drive from Alabama to Texas on a bus.
Oh, it's so terrible. So terrible. I will say that the Trainwreck series, so we've seen recently Rob Ford, mayor of Toronto. We've seen Travis Scott concert. Astro World. Now we've seen Poop Cruise, and there's a couple more coming up. I know that I saw that there is a one on I want to say like Urban Outfitters or American Apparel or one of those like shady mall fashion places. But it's so far, shaping up to be a really good show.
Yeah, I didn't realize. So going back to when they did the Woodstock 99 documentary, that apparently was like the first train wreck documentary.
Oh, what are the other ones they've done? Do you have a list?
That was it so far. We've seen everything up to date. The next one apparently is going to be, what is the name of this? Trainwreck Project X, which this website isn't really telling me much. Let's see here.
All right, Ron, we have a show. Let's keep going.
I know. I hate when these websites don't. All right, Trainwreck, The Real Project X releases on July 8th. It tells the story of a teenager in the Netherlands who put up her party invite on Facebook in 2012. It got out of control with apparently tens of thousands of people showing up with booze and bad intentions.
Ooh, I love it.
I'm looking forward to that.
That looks like that has a lot of potential.
Good times. Let's try and get to one more story before we wrap up here.
Sure.
Dissension in the Cobra Kai family, as actor Alicia Hannah Kim had issues with co-star Martin Kove after he apparently bit her at a fan convention. She is obviously upset about it. There's a lot of body cam footage. She chose not to press charges, but Martin Kove's response was, "Oh, I was just playing because we're very playful together, and I bit down too hard." Left a mark on this poor woman, and she told Kove that they don't play like that.
Yes. She did not seem like she was having fun.
In a ditch. Yeah.
I wish you. Yeah. And there's video of this, of her confronting body cam footage.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is just kind of, he played Kreese. Everybody our age
Kreese killed the guy.
Killed the guy. You would think that he would have the wherewithal not to bite the arm of one of his co-stars playfully at one of these conventions. But apparently he did.
He's 78. So probably doesn't have it all together. I mean, looks good for 78. I'll give him that.
Looks great for 78.
But I think from that generation where, if you were a white male, you could pretty much do anything you wanted to do and not get in trouble.
Sure.
Not that way anymore.
Didn't Kreese spend time in Vietnam?
He did. That's where he killed the guy, was in Vietnam.
So isn't it possible that he saw her approach and started to go having and had one of those wartime flashbacks and was just defending himself?
Are you saying this was like a PTSD type situation he was in?
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
All right, fair enough. Folks,
Ron,
while the main show,
can I just add before the end of this?
Of course.
I know you're about to hype our Patreon, but there's something more important than just Patreon, and that is something called Can You Beat Brian?
Yes.
Ron, you have, please let our fans know what is a Can You Beat Brian, and why should they, if they are watching this live, get their web browser over to patreon.com to sign up for our Patreon.
Well, I think, first off, your Patreon subscription at $10 a month or higher gets you access to our After Dark show, which takes place, every Sunday night at 9:30 or close to every Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
But the final Sunday night is our pajama party that we hold the last Sunday. And that's when we have these contests. Last month, it was Can You Beat Ron? I managed to defend my honor. Now it's up to Brian. We have expanded the quiz to 15 questions this month to try and give Brian some opportunities to win. But again, at the bronze level, you get some great swag. You get access to it. If you're at silver, silver's really the place to be. If you are a silver Patreon member, you get invitations to private events like Brian's wedding or my July 4th party. I mean, well worth the money being spent. But at bronze, you get live access to the After Dark.
Sure.
And are you ready, Brian, to defend your honor tonight in Can You Beat Brian?
I just had my phone handy, wanted to make sure that I had the Kahoot app so that I would be able to play the game.
Yes, we do. We embrace technology here at.
And if you notice this, I do not have 84 font like Matt Gaetz does on his phone.
All right. Well, if you're not yet a member, go to thecultofronandbrian.com. Click in the upper right-hand corner to become a patron. Join at $5 a month or higher. You get access to the audio the day after of our After Dark. Again, we mentioned $10 or higher. You get to sit in on tonight's show. I'm looking forward to it. It is one of my favorite shows of the month. I don't know about you, Brian.
I'm already sweating.
Well, that's
par for the course.
Par for the course. I mean, we would be surprised otherwise.
Sure, a little hurtful though. Let's do this.
Are you ready to wrap this up, Brian? And are you ready to go kick some ass after dark?
I am ready. Let's make this happen.
All right, folks, Friday is July 4th. Be safe. Be careful out there. Do not hold on to lit fireworks. I think, Brian, you shared a very poignant tweet this week where it said, there are a bunch of people where this is the last weekend where they have use of all 10 of their fingers and they don't even know it yet. Don't be dumb, people. Just be careful out there. All right, Brian, please anything else before we wrap up here?
Dead ass.
Dead ass. All right, everybody. Have a good night. After dark, folks. We will see you in 19 minutes.
Thank you for joining us for the latest episode of The Cult of Ron and Brian. A non-tax deductible contribution can be made by subscribing to our Patreon. Visit cultofronandbrian.com and click on Become a Patron. We'll see you again next week.